あ、おはようございます。黒いですけど。
BackRockShooter is an art house style coming of age story about growing up. The core relationship between the characters is presented as a die-hard friendship that is subtly played off as being capable of becoming love through mutual admiration and longing. A lot of what you see will not make sense. It goes with a heavy hand towards symbolism, with the personas which defend the cast as if they were merely a representation of their willpower. But they are referred to as real and inhabiting an alternate dimension. This can be seen as either symbolism leaking into the reality as emotion and implication blur the world as Mato and the others experience it. Alternatively, it can also mean that it is purely an emotional plane, which is referred to as real for the audience's sake in order to materialize abstract ideas for easier digestion. What this means is that the story, by my speculation, is not supposed to be taken literally as something believable, like when Kill La Kill tries to explain holograms destroying each other as a possibility. Of course, unless you are doing all of this, the whole anime starts to turn stupid halfway through. You pretty much have to assume that the entirety of the anime is just making metaphors for coping mechanisms. So here's the one thing I'd recommend you watch the show for. Characters. Mato is an adorable pudding pop, and her budding relationship with Yomi was the core reason why I finished it on my first time through. It's so stupid and arbitrary that, as a socially deficient fellow myself, I can completely imagine two people in freshman year of high school acting out to these degrees, because you just kind of put that much weight on things at that age, and I wish I was making that up. The plot is simple, but it gets overshadowed by all the metaphor crap I just brought up. It's a story about Mato learning to deal with harsh emotions and stimuli that she has not yet been exposed to, and, to that length, the show does a pretty good job explaining that you gotta be direct with those kinds of things. Get to the point as best you can and cut off what's out of your control. There is a theme of distance as Mato fights to become closer to others. By becoming close with some, she grows distant with more, but the person watching this, will come to know that she is just oblivious to signs of this due to her sheltered childhood. It's little shit like that that sells me on a story. If you want to tell me that your protagonist is ignoring obvious or even blatant advances by a love interest because of their social anxiety or because of some severe trauma to the head, I would believe you. The tsundere is a staple to the harem anime for that very reason. In case you didn't see my first whack at this, give it a gander. It's not a complete waste of time. I pointed out that Saya is worst girl, yes, worse than Eyebrows girl. This is because she breaks the souls of children. She does this to free them from their torments, but this is through a philosophy of zero ambition means zero disappointment. While all of this makes sense in the context of what we will later see in her experience, in the form of flashbacks, and it painting her as a weak character for looking for an easy way out for both herself and her friend, who she honestly cared very much for, and I am not going to say it wasn't warming to see. My respect for her suffers immensely when I consider that what she does is the opposite of enabling others to overcome their problems by simply prying them away from them. And this is probably why she was casted as a counselor, because with this position, she is doing the opposite of what would be expected of her. This contrast was probably intentional in order to call attention to the nature of her actions. All of this, as far as I'm concerned, is very clever. I honestly just don't like her as a person. As a character, she does a good job at it. And that is an important distinction to make. People, even the best people, are occasionally disgusting, unforgivable, to the greatest of their abilities. These best people know how to control these tendencies. Everybody poops. At least, that's what my mom tells me. A character does not do this. It is because people go through the struggle that we fail time and again. Who knows if Mato and Yomi would grow apart eventually. The struggle makes for good drama. There's probably 100 good stories out there of someone just trying and failing over and over again. But the problem with trying to write this is knowing when to let it click so some problem gets resolved, some purpose met. This of course ties into the message of the story. If Mato failed one more time, would she spiral into a mundane defeatism? Or would it just be a redundant repeat of what had already happened? The world is a cruel, fucked up place. You can hide from it, even if you face it with intention, it will stain you. But even so, that is how you grow. The darkness that enters her psyche very literally destroys Mato. How does she overcome it? Conviction, accepting the reality. Mato does not fully reject the twisted form before her. There is something of value in what is her guardian, BackRockShooter. The tropiness of the final blow being fueled by friendship exists for the value of her relationships and the support they offered her, which is necessary for her and for real people to overcome that dark part of growing up. And of course, learning about the world. This plane is plainly stated as a reflection of reality. Its harshness and constant violence exists because the world is a cruel, fucked up place. But that symbolism of becoming a selective image, an ideal of what you are, informed by what you were and what you appear to be, and destroying that which you dislike most about yourself is at the very core of what this show, and I, the humongous dick-faced bastard that I am, are trying to say. So, in a second, hopefully better attempt, should you watch this fucking show? Yeah, nigga.